Hey guys, welcome to Bradley Explains It All, with me, Bradley Gladbatter. Today we're going to talk about The Lord of the Rings, The Ringing of Power, Episode 3. So after the last episode, this lady elf and this guy were stuck on this boat, and then this other boat comes up, and it turns out that it's this guy and it's this captain, and he's like, hey, guess what? I'm going to capture you. And they're like, well, wait, where are you going to take us? And the guy's like, well, you'll see. And then as they're going in, all of a sudden the lady elf is like, oh, wait, I know this place. And I'm not sure where they're going, but I'm pretty sure it's like the lost city of Atlantis. And so they're all like, well, what are we doing here? And the guy that captured them is like, I'm going to take you and go meet the queen. So they take the lady elf and this guy and they take him in to meet the queen. And the queen's like, hey, what are you doing here? And the elf is like, well, hey, guess what? I don't really want to be here. I'd like to get on a ship and go back to where it is that I was trying to get to. And the queen is like, well, hey, no, I don't think so. I think because you just said that, we're going to make you stay here at this resort. And the elf is like super pissed that happens. And I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's very likely that this is like the sister of like Katy Perry or something. Then the story kind of turns and focuses on this guy that's like this captain of the ship and his family. And his son's like a sailor on this other ship. And he's just sailing around doing stuff. And then he's also got this daughter. And I don't know what it is about her, but every time she's on the screen, my brother-in-law kind of gets excited. And then my sister says, hey, did she remind you of anybody? And he says, nobody in this house. And she gets pretty pissed. But then later, all of a sudden, this other creature shows up. And then my brother-in-law says, now this person definitely reminds me of somebody in this house. So then it goes back to this lady elf, and she's kind of like bored because she's got nothing to do. And then for the first time in any of these episodes, she smiles because she gets to ride on this horse. And then this guy that was with her is like, hey, guess what? I'm not an elf. I'm going to run around the city. So he ends up seeing these guys who are like building some stuff. And he's like, hey, guess what? I'd like to build some of this stuff too. Give me a job. And they're like, no, sorry. You got to have like this gold coin in order to do it. So the guy gets this idea that he's going to end up stealing this gold coin. So he tries to steal it off these guys. But they figure out what he's doing. And so they try to get it back. But then this guy ends up just beating them all up. And it kind of reminded me of the time that my friend said, hey, I've already bought those comic books at the store. You just need to go in and get them. And so I went in and then I thought something was wrong. And then all of a sudden I felt this hand on my shoulder. And so I panicked and I turned around and I just threw a punch. And it turns out I punched the 79-year-old lady who was the greeter at Walmart right in the throat. And so it turns out all she was trying to do was to give me a unicorn sticker. But I'm not allowed back into Walmart. But the worst part of that story is I have no idea what happened to that sticker. So then it comes back to this guy elf, and he was off running around jumping into holes trying to find out where they went. And he ended up getting captured, it seemed, and sure enough he did. And he got captured by like these big green, what I thought were mice, but they aren't mice. They seem to be like these creatures and whatnot, like these goblins. And so they're like, hey, guess what? You get to dig tunnels and you also get to just dig for a while. And the guy's like, well, okay, I guess so. And then it turns out that he doesn't really want to do it because he's with these other couple of guys. And they're like, hey, we should try to escape. But in order for them to escape, they don't know where they are. So they're like, hey, go to the top of this tree and just go ahead and like cut it down. And then you can look off into the distance and see which way we should run. And so the guy goes up and he starts cutting down this tree. But before he does, he starts apologizing to it, which I had no idea you were supposed to apologize to trees when you do stuff to them. So ever since then, I've been trying to get my dog to like learn to speak Elvish so he can start apologizing when he does his business on it. So finally, these guys decide to try to escape. But it turns out they're really bad at escaping because the goblins just kind of figure out what they're doing, and so they start killing them all. And then as a couple of them are about to escape, one of the goblins is like, hey, go get that dog. And so this pissed off chihuahua shows up and he just starts killing even more of the people. Okay guys, that's me explaining stuff. So that's everything that you need to know about episode 3 of The Ringing of Power.